McLaren's Oscar Piastri heads to Sao Paulo, Brazil, needing to snatch the championship lead and momentum back from his teammate Lando Norris, who leads the standings by just 1 point. With just 4 events left, 2 with sprints, meaning only 116 points are left on the table, each to be seized by force. Piastri first led the standings after Saudi Arabia, his 3rd win of 4 from the first 6 events against Norris's 1. But he only took 3 from the next 9 to the Brits' 4. As McLaren's rivals took center stage, with Red Bull Top Gun Max Verstappen winning in Monza, Azerbaijan and Austin, and Mercedes' George Russell on top in hot and humid Singapore. Norris then ended Piastri's 189-day standings lead with a stunning drive at the last race in Mexico, where he finished over 30 seconds ahead of his nearest rival, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. The Aussie was 5th. But there's rising chatter, especially in Piastri's home nation of Australia, that the team would prefer a British world champion, and that it's being engineered, which the team denies. Though the crowds don't seem to believe it, given the booing in Mexico, with McLaren's contentious team orders in Monza and Norris's Singapore bump without consequence the fuel to their fire. McLaren has been open on letting its drivers race from the start.
We'd like to go for the Constructors and the Drivers' World Championship, and why not be greedy and have that be 1-2, and let Lando and Oscar decide who's 1 and who's 2, so that's our collective goal.
But the squad's real mistake, despite securing the Constructors' title for a 2nd straight time this year, has been how far it's gone in trying to make things as fair as possible, with that job an imperfect science. And the real difference between the drivers in Austin and Mexico, both low-grip tracks, down to tire management. The final 4 races are going to be thrilling, as Piastri seeks to return fire to current form-man Norris. Brazilian Formula One fans have long kept an eye on Aston Martin, where XF2 champion Felipe Drugovich has been reserve driver since 2023 as part of its development program. But he's soon set to swap hybrid power for all-electric with his switch to an Andretti drive in Formula E from Season 12, which begins on home soil for the man from Moringa in early December. Dugovich got his first taste of the squad's new Formula E car last week at pre-season testing in Valencia, Spain, where he spoke exclusively to the Inside Line on the challenge of switching codes.
It's a bit of a change, there's a lot of things we need to learn and get used to, because in all fairness, it's a completely different environment, first of all, but also way of driving. So yeah, there's a lot to learn and a lot to change also especially in this pre-season testing.
It wasn't Drugovich's first taste of Formula E, with the Brazilian having raced in Season 11's penultimate doubleheader in German capital Berlin for Andretti's rival Mahindra, where he finished 7th in the 2nd for 6 points, impressing the paddock. The 25-year-old said he was excited to join such a famous team like Andretti and to make his full-time debut in Brazil.
So starting Season 12 in Brazil, it's such a cool thing to do. I never done an international race in Brazil, so I'm really looking forward to starting the championship there.
Drugovich, though, wished good luck to his countryman, Sauber's Gabriel Bortoleto, for his coming Sao Paulo Grand Prix debut in F1, with the pair both racing on the world stage for Brazil.
I think Gabriel has been doing amazing this year. He's been doing such a great job, and hopefully in Brazil he's going to be able to show his potential, get into the points again. So yeah, very happy about him, and hopefully he will bring some joy to the Brazilian fans.
Mercedes says it shot itself in the foot by waiting to swap its drivers at the last race in Mexico, which potentially robbed it of a better result than 6th and 7th and dropped it to 3rd in the Constructors. Russell started 4th but dropped to 5th in the Turn 1 melee, and then 6th behind teammate Andrea Kimi Antonelli following a scrap with Red Bull's Max Verstappen. But during the second stint, with Russell under pressure from McLaren's Oscar Piastri, Mercedes took 6 laps to decide to swap its drivers for a better chance at passing Haas's Oliver Behrmann ahead. Even if it may not have had the pace deficit to overtake, and then swap them back as a result in the race's closing stages.
It did take a while to figure that out because we were initially a team, we would let our drivers race, and that's what our racing intent calls for. We did eventually decide to swap, and I think in hindsight, regardless of whether we decided to hold position or swap, it was the delay that was the thing that didn't work out for us. By the time George was past, his tyres were past their best and he couldn't get past Behrmann.
The Silver Arrows now head to Sao Paulo, where it last won in 2022 with Russell, who won the sprint and then led home a 1-2 in the race to break the squad's drought that season. But in 2025, it's about making sure that it maximizes its package from the outset, given the limited practice time during this penultimate sprint event, and with Mercedes just 1 point behind second-placed Ferrari.
We know that we've got a race to maximise the package we've got. We know as well that that is a package good enough to be finishing on the podium at every event if we get everything right, if we have clean first corners, good starts, clean lap 1, and things fall our way. And I think that didn't happen in Mexico. So the focus for Brazil is really getting the starting setup in the right place.
Brazil is a traveler's dream, though perennially underrated, as one of the most thrilling and diverse countries to visit on the planet, with a vibrant culture, fantastic cuisine, and passionate people. Rio de Janeiro is Brazil's marvelous city, complete with iconic landmarks like Christ the Redeemer, Sugarloaf Mountain, the Selaron Steps, and Copacabana Beach. But when it comes to F1 and 2025's penultimate sprint event, that focus shifts to rival Sao Paulo, the largest city in the southern hemisphere. And home to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, or Interlagos, one of the great F1 circuits, which since 1973 has hosted World Championship races won by all 3 of Brazil's world champions: Emerson Fittipaldi, Nelson Piquet, and Ayrton Senna, along with race winners Pache and Felipe Massa. Massa's former team Williams was in hype mode last year, with a show run at Sao Paulo's Anhembi Sambadrome for the Gulf Speed Festival. Alex Albon wowed the crowds in 2023's FW45, complete with a special livery that ran in Singapore, Japan, and Qatar. With the event a thrilling teaser for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and 2025's edition the 5th under the Brazilian megacity's own banner.
I attempted a couple of donuts. I definitely tipped a couple of barriers. It's a bit tight, a bit too tight for a Formula 1 car, especially these current generation Formula 1 cars, but I had a lot of fun in the process. Just very cool to be able to do an event like this with golf. Bringing the fans here in Brazil, giving them access to what we do is very special. So I hope they enjoyed it, and hopefully we do more in the future.
Alain Prost, though, is the most successful pilot in Brazil with 6 victories. Michael Schumacher has 4. 4 drivers have 3, including Carlos Reutemann, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, and Red Bull's Max Verstappen, who delivered the ultimate fightback drive last year in torrential conditions and won from 17th on the grid. Verstappen came home over 19 seconds ahead of the 2 Alpines, who stayed out and changed tyres during the red flag period for the brand's first double podium, Enstone's first since 2013. The Dutchman, though, was the indisputable star of a Super Sunday that featured qualifying and the race after a Saturday washout. Located 30 minutes from downtown Sao Paulo, the 4.309-kilometer track has 15 turns, 10 left and 5 right, and a top speed of 340 kilometers per hour. Valtteri Bottas has the lap record, which he set in 2018 for Mercedes. There are 2 DRS activation zones, with the first between turns 3 and 4, the other on the pit straight. There are also 2 DRS detection points, one before turn 2, the other after turn 13. Close racing on a Brazilian classic, it's time for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.